channel. Today we have another installment by Bookish Baking Show, and it's for no other than Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I know I haven't shut up about this book since I've read it, but I promise you this is probably the last time you'll hear about it, so let me just have my fun. In today's video, we're going to be making sticky buns because that is a really big dessert in the Powerless world, and I'm super excited, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. Okay, we're gonna start with making the dough, and then we're gonna have to let it rise for a little bit. So I will leave this recipe down below if you are interested, but we're gonna start with a cup of warm milk. We're gonna add 2 tablespoons of sugar. And then we're gonna add a tablespoon and a half of active dry yeast. And then you're gonna mix that either with your mixer or by hand for about 5 minutes until it gets foamy on top. You don't wanna use a hand mixer for this, it'll be too harsh. So I'm just gonna put this on stir. Okay, once it's foaming on top, mine's looking a little bit scary, but we'll see. We're gonna add in half a cup of sugar more. Come on, guys. And you're gonna add a whole stick or 8 tablespoons of softened butter. Hopefully mine is soft enough. Jesus. And then you're gonna let that go for a little bit before we add the next ones on medium. Oh my god! Once the butter in there is looking a little bit more separated, it doesn't have to be fully incorporated, we're gonna add half a teaspoon of salt and 2 large room temp eggs.
And a black Santa napkin. And a black Santa napkin.
And then we're gonna mix this again on medium. Next, we're gonna add in our 4.5 cups of flour very gradually. We're not gonna put in the next cup until the first cup is fully incorporated. It shouldn't be sticky any longer, and it should be pretty soft. We're gonna go ahead and knead this for 5 minutes, and I feel like now is as good a time as any to talk about Powerless and what it's about, just in case you don't know. So in Powerless, we live in a world where there are ordinaries and then there are elites, and this is based off of the power that you have, and they developed this power after a plague that took place in the kingdom years ago, and some people after that had powers, and then obviously they were passed down as it went. But in this kingdom, they do not like the ordinaries. They actually think that the ordinaries, since they have no power, that they are taking away their power like whenever they're near. So in this kingdom, they have actually killed and exiled all of the ordinaries in order to keep their power. In this book, we're following Peyton. She lives in Loot Alley in the kingdom, and she is an orphan, so she lives on the streets with her friend Adina. They have kind of struck up a deal to use each other's skills in order to make it and survive. So Peyton is the stealer. She goes around stealing from people, whether it's money, food, cloth for Adina, and Adina on the flip side uses that money or that cloth to buy fabric, and she is a seamstress, so she sells her clothes for them to make money. But the kicker is that Peyton is actually an ordinary, and everyone around her thinks that she is a psychic, which is a mundane power, but it's still a power, so they're not exiled like the ordinaries are. So she has been practicing her whole life to be able to kind of like read people based off of any kind of clues that she can take, and so people truly believe that she is psychic. One day when she is stealing in Loot Alley, she runs into the prince of the kingdom. His name is Prince Kai-Azar, and she sees that he is kind of being very careless with his silvers, which is their currency in this kingdom. So she decides that she's going to steal from him, and she is successful. A little bit later down the road, while he is still in Loot Alley, she runs across him getting beat up by two other elites, and she decides to jump in as she is very scrappy. Like I said, she lives alone, she steals for her money, so she has to be very scrappy, and she ends up saving him from this fight. And of course, that obviously gets around really fast as this normal person from Loot Alley has saved the prince. And in this world, they kind of celebrate the plague and having powers with these trials. These trials are very Hunger Games-esque like trials, and it's where a bunch of elites have to go through different trials to test their powers and make it out alive, and there can only be one winner. With this getting out as Peyton being the hero of Prince Kai-Azar, she is actually picked to go into the trials, and the twist is that Kai-Azar is actually going onto the trials as well. So for the rest of the book, we're getting basically just more in depth with the trials and what is going on behind the scenes between Peyton, Kai, the king, and this kingdom-wide proposition to essentially continue to cut out all the ordinaries. Okay, after you have kneaded your dough for 5 minutes, we are going to have to let it proof for 2 hours. So we're gonna put it in a bowl, put it to the side, let it proof, and while I do that, off camera, I'm gonna be making the sticky bun syrup, just because if I do it over there, it's not going to be really easy to see, and it's really not that cool besides just warming up a bunch of things. And so I will be back when it's time to actually start making the sticky buns. Has been 2 hours, and like I said, I did make the topping off camera. If you were wondering, it's literally just a stick of butter, a cup of brown sugar, and half a cup of golden syrup, which I'm not 100% sure what that entails, but you can also make your own syrup if you'd like. Now our dough should have rose, and it definitely did. Gonna give it a little punch. Yay! All right, with a floured surface, we are gonna roll this out into a 12 by 18 inch rectangle, and then we'll add the filling. Okay, once your dough looks a little something like this, we're gonna spread some melted and cooled butter on it, very similar to like if you're making cinnamon rolls. All right, and then you're gonna pour your cinnamon sugar mixture over top, and we're gonna spread that in as well. We're gonna roll them up now. Into 12 equal rolls. I'm gonna take off these ends because they don't have much filling. Okay, I ended up being 1 shy, I think, after cutting the ends off, but I think it'll be okay. Now you're gonna place each of these rolls into your 9 by 13 pan with the topping. What they should look like. Now we're gonna go ahead and let them proof once more, this time only for an hour. So we're gonna cover it, let it sit for an hour, and then we're ready to bake.
1 hour later.
Alrighty, these guys were are in the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes. This is what they're looking like, and we're going to go ahead and flip them because the bottom where we put the topping is actually the top. Whoa. All right, guys, this is what it's looking like after a flip. They are looking like true sticky buns. They look so good. Let's try them. It's like a glorified cinnamon roll. It's really good. Wanna try it? Whoa. A big bite. All right, that is my video for you today. I hope you enjoyed. I know I sure did. I love baking, and I love it even more when the final product comes out good. So thank you guys so much for watching and helping me bake these sticky buns in lieu of powerless today. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope to see you right back here tomorrow for another day of Bookmas.